Now, Fionán, welcome to, as I say, Glin, and it's a beautiful midday morning here in St. Paul's Heritage Centre in Glin, in County Limerick, and just to say thanks to Glin Development and John Anthony Callan for permitting all of this as well. So, thank you to all. But Fionán, you're very impressed with Glin so far. Your first time here?
First time here. I've driven past Glin on many occasions, going to the seaside, Ballybunion or wherever. But I've never, it's a shame really. I've lived in Limerick my entire life and I've never visited Glin. But I just did half the night's walk and
brave man.
Had a look around. No, it's gorgeous.
It's a fantastic walk, and it was developed by Glin Development as well, with the Council and European funding, but it was absolutely fantastic. It's a huge asset because any time that I'm up this direction, the amount of people that are actually parking their car and doing the night's walk and then out the coast road walk, it's absolutely fantastic, and it's giving people a great chance to discover nature, discover what's right on their doorstep. We don't have to fly to Spain or France or to America to see wonderful surroundings. We have them. We have all here. But that's my view.
I completely agree, because it's really important, not just international tourism but also domestic tourism, to give a steady flow of footfall for hospitality and different small local businesses, because they've taken a bad hit during.
Oh, they have. They've really suffered. But hopefully now the staycation will work, and the opening up of hospitality, which is so badly needed for people's mental health as well. I mean, we all like to go out and have a coffee or sit down and have a tea and a chat. That's our way of life. So we need to bring this back as quickly as possible. But I met you with Billy McGuire and William Sheehan over in Mungo College, and I had a fantastic time there, and thank you to all involved, and more to come. But Fionán, you're taking from your social life, as it were, in Limerick, you're going into a political direction. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll just give you a bit of background about myself first, because many of your audience might not know of me. But I grew up in Limerick. I studied in St. Munchin's College, and then I went down to University of Limerick and studied international business with French. And after I graduated, I got to work in France, I got to work in Australia, and I also spent some time in China. And I had great fun, learnt a lot, and came back to Limerick with new eyes, and really was full of enthusiasm and energy and had lots of ideas. And I contacted local councillors and for various projects I wanted to start up. And nothing seemed to kind of materialize for me. So I said, okay, I've got all these ideas, I want to do something. So then I saved up. I was working as a lifeguard in the pool in UL. Saved up my money, and then as the lockdown happened, it was kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I was able to start my project, which was opening a shop. So last Christmas, I opened a small little shop in Limerick's milk market called Restory.
Oh, that milk market is fantastic. It's a great success story for Limerick.
Yeah, I'm so fortunate to just. My father has been working in the milk market since 1992. And before that, he had a shop on Catherine Street since 1983 in Limerick City Centre. So he's been a trader in Limerick all his life. And I'm very fortunate he gave me a platform to, build upon. And I've really just had an amazing 6 months since opening the business. I've met people from all across Limerick, because the business itself is about promoting all the local craft, the local art, and showcasing it to people who visit the milk market then.
Because Limerick is full of traders. I mean, it's going back, Limerick City is a trading city going back to the time of, King John, and and even before it, it's between the fishing and the crafts and everything like that. And I've learned so much from great people inside in Limerick City and the county as well, about the folklore, the old stories, the history, the ways of life. And it's fantastic, and it's marvellous for you, Fionán, that you're taking this a step further in the 21st century. It's a great idea.
I am, and the business, it's kind of like a kind of bit of a social enterprise as such,
Mm-hmm.
as in every product in the shop has a story to tell, has a purpose, has a meaning, and it was a way for me to kind of do the kind of make an impact socially. That was what I always wanted to do, you know, lift or just make a contribution to Limerick.
Yes.
And I felt like starting a business was kind of a good way of doing it. And I met yourself through Billy Maguire.
That's right.
Because one of my biggest passions is history, local history.
Yes.
And it's just funny to be well, it's interesting we were talking about this, just overlooking the estuary here.
That's right.
Because for thousands of years, the trade that would have went on.
Immense.
And that's, for me, why Limerick was such a special and strategic and such a prized possession for kings, for the Vikings, for the invaders. Even the Fitzgeralds picked a nice spot here in Glin.
They did.
And it's all about trade, and I feel like Limerick is going through a small renaissance, because, you know, we've been under a lot of bad press for a long time.
Yes.
And I feel now it's like we're kind of bouncing back, and I think the lockdown and all the challenges has just shown us how resilient the people of Limerick are, because despite everything, they've innovated and they've come up with new ways to see things. And me personally as well, I've gotten the chance to go out to the county and realise the wealth of beauty, whether it's natural beauty or historic beauty, that's right on our doorstep.
It is right. It's sitting. I mean, even where we are today, it's going back to the 13th century, the actual history of Glin, and it's just, again, just using the word immense. And now, your political ambition. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So, I was always interested in finding the best way that I could make a contribution to Limerick, and obviously business and community work is one way, but I was involved in politics. I just casually would contact my local councillor to see if there was anything I could get involved in.
Yes.
I also, because of my time in university, I learned a lot about research, and I was able to do research about our transport system, and I was able to do research about how we can promote Limerick internationally for tourism and trade. So I had the opportunity. I just kind of sent emails to some of the council officials, and I managed to organise some meetings with the top brass inside Limerick Council, and constantly, whether they liked it or not, I was there knocking on the door, knocking. So I was knocking, and what happened? Out of the blue, I was looking for something, and this new directly elected mayor proposal came up. So it was put to a plebiscite in 2019.
Yes.
During the local elections. So people they went into the ballot box and they had 3 pieces of paper. One was for the county councillors.
Correct.
The other one was for the MEPs. I think Sean Kelly got that. And the last one then was for directly elected mayor. So people may remember they had an option, yes or no, to directly elected mayor.
Yes.
And there was only 3 counties in Ireland who had the opportunity to choose this. It was Waterford, Cork and Limerick. Waterford and Cork voted no, and Limerick voted yes by a margin of, I think, 5,000 votes.
Right, yes.
And I was one of the people who was campaigning for the vote yes, along with Maria Byrne, who's Fine Gael senator.
That's right, I know her, yes.
And John Moran, who was involved in Fine Gael, Michael Noonan and the Department of Finance. And, you know, I don't align with any parties myself as such. I align with whoever's passionate about Limerick.
Yes.
I don't mind what background they have, as long as they share a passion for, you know, working for the community. So.
Now, when you will obviously start to make yourself more publicly known, as it were, because as this directly elected mayor. Actually, just going back to that, will that operate? Do people have a chance then to vote for a particular candidate?
Yes. So there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yes.
Purely because there's never been a directly elected mayor ever before. And the people in Dublin writing the legislation, they're not sure what it's going to be. The people who voted for it aren't sure what it's going to be. So it's really anyone's guess.
Yes.
But in theory, in essence, a directly elected mayor means that the people will be able to choose a leader from the city to represent the city and county.
The county, yes.
Together, not one or the other, the city and the county, which is an important point.
Yes.
And this will either be an independent or it could be someone from one of the established political parties. But from the people I've spoken to, they're not certain what it means. Is it just going to be another waste of money?
Right.
So
yes.
I'm really coming on here to try and not only promote myself, but promote the directly elected mayor, because a lot of people have been picking holes in it and it's been scuppered before. So
I see.
So I'm really appealing to people to just have a cup of tea, have a chat about it.
Yes,
and,
I agree.
Do a bit of research and ask a few questions. So.
No, you see, the one thing is that it apart from the older system, which would be political parties choosing their own mayor, but this would appear to be very democratic, handing it back out to the people, the taxpayers, and letting the people of Limerick City and County decide.
Yeah, and that's really why I'm so excited. And what I'm trying to get across is this is an amazing opportunity for communities to get back some autonomy.
Yes.
And not only will we be able to choose our mayor, but this mayor will have executive powers, which means that they'll be actually able to sign off on things, because up to now our councillors and our mayors have been representatives who represent the needs of their constituents to the executive branch of the council. So our county councillors are representatives and they have only reserved functions, but the executive functions, they're with the executives, who would be called the council officials.
Okay.
So it might be confusing people, but the most important thing is that up until now, directly elected mayors have had a term of 1 year. So no matter if you're Superman, you can't do much.
You couldn't do anything. No way.
You can't.
Impossible.
So this new directly elected mayor will have 5-year terms.
Yes.
Which is a big chunky term, and you've plenty of time there to make a difference.
Yes.
But not only that, you will actually be in a position whereby you can allocate funding to various things and really
it's really more like a hands-on than sort of being a mouthpiece. No disrespect to the councillors, I know they work very hard, but I'm saying that the mayor will have full autonomy and financial autonomy, in the sense that the revenue comes in, there will be set revenue there that he can decide or she decide as to what project should go. I think that's a great idea. That should work.
Yeah, well, it's a great idea on paper. However, from what I've seen on the media recently, there's been a lot of negative press surrounding the directly elected mayor. And I kind of get the sense that the powers that be are kind of trying to...
They don't want to relinquish their power.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly. And one of the big arguments has been, they're not giving over as much power as we would have liked. Well, it's up to us to actually stand up and say to the bureaucrats in Dublin, no, this is Limerick's moment.
Yes.
We want this, and we want a mayor with strong powers to represent our needs and to develop our county.
Yes.
And to give a voice to the people who for so long have felt like their pleas to the council have fallen on deaf ears. Finally, we'll actually not only have a representative, we'll have someone with executive powers. So
yeah, that's very important actually, because a lot of people have said to me as well, I mean, why do we elect councillors, for what purpose? Because often they feel that the councillors at times, maybe many times, maybe less times, can't listen, are unable to do anything, because maybe they're aligned to certain parties, and different agendas go on all the time, even though I have great respect for all councillors, men and women. Wouldn't it be nice actually to see, I don't know, I'm probably putting my foot in this now, but wouldn't it be great to see a young man or woman elected for the first time in Limerick, bringing new ideas and bringing the 21st century with them? And this is one of the reasons why you're going as well.
This is it. One of the first questions I get asked by many people is they say, maybe you should wait another 10 years until you're in your 30s or this or that. And fair enough, it's unusual to see someone my age going into politics, not just as a councillor or a junior minister, but shooting right up to this new directly elected mayor. And I feel like what I can offer is a sense of vision, and I really see, since the beginning when the direct elected mayor was announced, I knew straight away,
yes, I see,
this is exactly what we have been waiting for. And I'm not professing to have all the answers or all the solutions.
Correct.
I'm just offering myself up to the people of Limerick as someone who will be there when you need me, and just an open mind and open ears, and
that's what's needed. That's what's actually needed, because we just see this is an attitude and an opinion from the lay people across the country, that we see the council, city, county council, the big council, the small, they're a different entity. Now, the directly elected mayor will actually be more hands-on with the people and their problems, and that's good.
I think it's great, and I think maybe we can discuss something in part 2, because it gets a bit technical, but
I knew you were a technical man. You had that look about you. Of course, just to give us a break, we'll be back with you very shortly with part 2. I'm here, my guest this morning is Fionán Cotton.
Oh. He's the journalist, Fionán Sheehan.
Oh yes, one of my favourites, by the way, as well. Great man. Go to Míle Mágat agus Slán. Folks, you're very welcome back to part 2 of What Matters with myself, John Prendergast, and the company. My guest today is Fionán Cotton. Now, Fionán, just introduce the next piece of what we're going to talk about now.
So, this is a book. I'll just hold it up to the camera.
Yeah, great. Okay, very good.
This is a book that I read recently, and it's all about local government in Ireland.
Yes.
And it goes right back to the Civil War era, right back to the birth of the nation as we know it today.
Okay.
And I feel like you need to know where you came from in order to know where you're going.
Yes.
Especially with directly elected mayor and the local councils. How do they come about? How do they operate? So this was a real eye-opener, and it's actually written by Corkman A. Quinlivan.
Yeah.
And he is Ireland's leading scholar on local government. And this is called Philip Monaghan, A Man Apart, The Life and Times of Ireland's First Local Authority Manager. So, at present, county councils are, for lack of a better word, controlled by the county manager, and Limerick obviously has amalgamated the city and the county, we have one county manager. Now they're known as chief executive officers. And when I first started looking into local government in Ireland, I was shocked to find that our councils, which are on paper democratic institutions, have a chief executive officer. Because I always assumed that CEO was a title meant for corporations and private companies. Chief executive officer, and you have the board of directors, and I studied business, and I was just shocked that local government, why is there a chief executive officer? I always would have thought that the mayor would be the one calling the shots. And then the more I looked into it, I realised that the mayor in Ireland is just ceremonial.
A figurehead.
Well, not a figurehead. I would say ceremonial is maybe a nicer term.
Right.
Like, they do play an important function, and they represent the county as an ambassador. And when there's diplomatic events, when there's new buildings opening, the mayor will be there to cut the ribbon, to take the interviews, and to speak as spokesperson on behalf of the county, which is very important. The local authority manager, on the other hand, is more of a technical role.
Yes.
They will be doing the daily nuts and bolts operations of the council in terms of housing, in terms of roads, transport, water, infrastructure, sewerage. There's obviously hundreds, or probably well over 1,000 people involved in the Limerick Council, and we all know, have friends or family working with the council in various different capacities. Hard-working people, but we have to ask ourselves, is it right to have an individual in charge of our county council that is not elected, that is not a public face? A lot of people, if you ask them who is the county manager of Limerick, they wouldn't be able to.
I can't even tell you. I don't know.
But yet at the same time, the county manager has complete and total control, more power. There's 40 county councillors in the council, and none of them have anywhere near the power that the county manager has.
Yes.
Although our councillors are elected by us, the people, but the county manager hasn't been elected, and if there is any wrongdoing, these county managers are exempt from the Public Accounts Committee, and also
they're exempt.
They're exempt.
Wow, I never do that.
And also, our local councillors, if they make a vote on something,
yes,
whatever they decide by majority can be overruled, just like that, by the word of the county manager. He can overrule the will of the democratically elected council.
But sure, isn't that actually?
I think Julius Caesar would like that now. That kind of.
Oh,
he'd like that system.
He probably has influenced.
Yeah.
So, what you're saying is that if the majority of the county councillors are in the chamber object and overrule or whatever it is, or change or something, the county manager just sitting there can overrule all of that as well.
Just like that.
Well, isn't that a waste of taxpayers' money, of having councillors who have no real power then? They're only like talking shops. No offence now, I don't mean it like that, but isn't the system really calling out for change?
It certainly is. It certainly is. And I feel like we have to look back and be grateful in a sense that this country, despite its flaws, has come a long way. And we can't throw shade or dust upon the work of our predecessors. But I feel that now, in the face of housing crisis, health crisis, environmental crisis, mental health crisis, so there's all these crises.
And financial crisis.
Yes. We need to take action. And for a long time, in times of prosperity, politics is the last thing we talk about.
Yes.
People are just looking after their family.
Of course.
And that's all well and good. But it's times like these I've seen lots of people actually start to look into politics a bit more, and I think it's a great thing.
It's marvellous.
Yeah.
It is so important for this country that we have top-class politicians, that we have men and women in there for the sake of the country, not themselves or big salaries or big expenses or having to go before Public Accounts Committee to explain their bad actions, as it were, suspicious behaviour. We don't need that. We don't want that. We want politicians that will look after the people, and this is where I have huge faith in the younger generation coming forward, like you, that are actually going to make that change. And I think, but there is one thing now that really have shocked me and startled me. If there was wrongdoing by the executive power in a council, they're exempt from the Public Accounts Committee.
They're exempt.
But they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be.
Well,
because if you and I did wrongdoing in power in an institution, we would be hauled up before the and rightly so. Why are these people exempt?
Because in this country, and it's so often the case in Western democracies all across the world,
yes,
the people who write the laws,
the rule book,
the people who write the rule book,
yes, I've often said
are these executives. It's not our politicians. Even on a national level, the TD has the seal of office, which means it's their signature that signs off the bill or the document or the act, which gets passed to the president,
Yes.
Michael D. However, the document that they sign off on might be 500, 800 pages. Now, if you think of Leo Varadkar or Micheál Martin, they're up and down the country every week.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking interviews, they're working long hours. Do you really think they have the time to be sitting at their desk in the office writing legislation?
They can't. It's physically impossible.
So our laws and our regulations and all of the paperwork that dictates our lives is written by not politicians but actually bureaucrats and executives and council officials. And council officials, they might not write the laws, they're the ones who implement it.
Yes.
Which is just as important as whoever's writing. And these guys now have their own legal team. They have legal advisors, which is something the councillors don't have. So whenever you go in, and anyone can walk into the council building and sit down and in the public gallery and watch the session in progress, and you'll see the executives sitting up high, and then below them, physically below them, are all the councillors.
Yes.
And the councillors are there representing to the best of their ability their constituents, their community, their people, their causes, but they haven't got a chance because these executives have a solicitor beside them that tells them how to do it, and they are constantly looking at their watches waiting to run out the door because they have no interest in listening to the pantomime that sometimes goes on in the chamber.
Yes.
They're interested in where the real power is, and that's in the office, not running around and
I know what you mean, yeah, the PR aspect of it.
So I'll read an excerpt from this,
please,
because this is where it all began, which was after the Civil War. A Limerick man named Liam Lynch was shot in Tipperary, and that effectively ended the Civil War. And the very next month, General Richard Mulcahy brought in this temporary local government provision.
Yes.
Because it was wartime, so he had to take drastic measures, which was basically to dissolve Cork and then Kerry and Cork County Councils and appoint this man, Philip Monaghan from Drogheda, to basically take over Kerry and Cork. So they pushed all the councillors to the side and brought this guy in. Why? To bring law and order during a time of civil war. Now the country had been ripped apart, families split down the middle, so it was necessary to give emergency powers to the government. The shocking thing is, the emergency powers that were granted to the government, taken from the people and given to the government 100 years ago, are not only still here today, but they've been expanding all the time. So this directly elected mayor is really kind of rolling it back a bit, and giving power back to communities, giving power back to people. And
that's very well said. I can understand that now, and I see what you are. It's really diminishing executive powers for the right reason, handing it back to the people to vote in a directly elected mayor of their choice. That's fantastic. Yes.
So this is an excerpt from 1939, when they were actually expanding this county management system. So there was local opposition to the county management system in other parts of the country. Father Gaynor, the parish priest of Kilnamona in County Clare, sent a detailed letter and report to Eamon de Valera in December 1939, in which he referred to the inherent viciousness of the county manager's bill and suggested that it was a grim joke on the Irish people that, having been admitted to a share in local administration by the British Parliament, they are likely to be excluded again by Dáil Éireann. If the county manager's bill becomes law, instead of independent local councils, we shall have sham councils for democratic camouflage, but all real power will be vested in the paid manager. The process of excluding the people, which has been pursued by the bureaucrats during the past 16 years, will be complete. Now that was 1939.
Has it? So in your opinion, Fionán, has it changed? Has it got worse?
It's got worse. It has got worse. And this directly elected mayor has been talked about for 40 odd years. And even in this book, throughout the whole time that these county managers were being imposed, because the people didn't vote for these county managers.
Okay.
So these were being imposed. The county councillors were actually complaining the entire time, but their complaints fell on deaf ears because these guys had complete control, and now you look around and, you would tolerate injustice if the country was thriving, but
Yes.
there's something wrong, there's something amiss. And I feel that in the midst of this chaos and this crisis and a lot of uncertainty, people don't know if their job will be safe come next year.
Absolutely not.
It's so important that we bring back democracy, because Ireland is a republic, and we've kind of used republic as a moniker, as a label. But when you actually look into and you read up on local government in Ireland, you realise, wait a second, our ancestors, our forebears, grandfathers, grandmothers gave their lives for us to enjoy the freedom and prosperity that we have enjoyed for the last few decades. What will we say to our children in the future when their powers have been taken away from them and they live in a society that is run by private corporations and chief executive officers who are exempt from accountability?
I just find that mind-boggling. Just the fact that executives are exempt from questioning by our government whom we elect. So, in other words, in many ways, pardon my lingo, but it's like giving two fingers to the public. Well, you voted for us, now good luck. It seems to be like that.
But I am so excited and positive, optimistic, happy.
Yes.
And I get up out of bed early every morning knowing that Limerick will be the first county in Ireland
Yes.
to have this direct elected mayor. And if we can do this, if we can pull this off successfully, without controversy, they're going to roll it out to the 25 other counties in Ireland. So if you look back in the future, Limerick will be the first county to bring in this new reform and win back the democratic rights to the people again. And I think that that's an opportunity that everyone, not just myself, but everyone in the county should be telling their sisters, brothers, friends, husband, wife,
Yes.
whoever it is, have a cup of tea, have a conversation, because we need to talk about this. And if we don't stand up and take ownership of it, it'll silently be pushed to the side and won't happen. And last thing I want to show the people is...
I'm just mind-boggled with the information, because you know what the impression I get now, looking at the whole thing, it is a form of... Well, first of all, would I be right in Fionán saying this for viewers out there? Is this a type of cronyism that sort of the top brass of the executive is government appointed and it's a nod in the wink, or it's who you know? Is that the way that, am I right there? And is it a form of dictatorship then, down the line?
I've met some of these executives and they're normal people,
Yes.
just like anyone else. But they have inherited a system that's been there before they were born.
Yes.
And when I read that, this has been in Ireland since 1923.
Yes.
Just as we got our country back, we gave away the democratic powers, everything that had been fought for hundreds of years.
Yes, I know.
And what happened, as soon as we get our independence, what do? We take it away from the people.
Yes.
So that's really upsetting, because if you look at Irish history, the struggles that we've been through as a nation, and then as soon as we get our independence, as soon as we get our country back off the British Empire, what do? We decide to consolidate power to ourselves and to our friends and families. I think that what we have in Ireland now is something that we've inherited, and you can understand the situation in the 1920s. It was a time of war.
Yes.
Families had been split down the middle, and they needed to appoint their friends because they were the only people they could have trusted. And now today, we still have that system, but I think that your audience will agree that it's wrong and something needs to be done. I will say that this is our chance. The directly elected mayor is our chance to put right everything, because the chief executive officer is a really central position. They connect with the OPW, Irish Water, they connect with Dáil Éireann, they connect with local communities. They are a central point, go-between, and their remit is the city and county of Limerick. So they will be a face, and they will be... I know I will not be able to break any promises I make to the people, because I'll be there walking on the street you'll be able, anyone will be able to tell me what they think of me.
Oh yes.
So there'll be nowhere for me to go. That's democracy. That's what I'm signing up for, and that's okay because I'm not in this for money or prestige. And I never thought of getting into politics. I honestly just want to make a contribution.
You want to make the change.
So the last thing I'll say is, I really hope that, having listened to this interview, that people will start a conversation. That's what I'm asking for.
Yes.
And because at the moment, I'll maybe show this to you. These are the news that the direct elected mayor has been getting. If you want to read out some of the headlines.
Dog's bid to become mayor of Limerick is poo-pooed. Right. Legislation for Limerick's directly elected mayor is not what they looked for. Not surprising. Claim that directly elected mayor could turn Limerick into another Venezuela. That's a bit high, isn't it? And junior minister rebuked for repeatedly referring proposed directly elected mayor as a he. But sure, that's ridiculous. Sure, that's stupid. I mean, it could very well be a great woman. It could be a young woman.
Yeah.
You know, well, that is so stupid.
I'll just show the camera some of the.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
This is the media coverage of the directly elected mayor at the minute. So, I'm sure a lot of these people mean well, but something that strikes me.
I wonder, do they? Do they know what they're talking about?
Yes. So, well, what this strikes me as is a concerted, coordinated effort.
Of course.
To trivialize the direct elected mayor.
Because it's going to shift power.
It's going to shift
power. At the
power.
end of the day, it's going to shift power. And that's it.
Power is never given up without a fight. People are complaining that this is not what we voted for. This is not. Do we honestly believe, and this is Richard Dunn who said this, who's a good man, do we honestly believe that the legislators in Dublin will just simply hand over power to the people?
Not at all. They'll use the court system. They'll use every system, judicial, everything, to block this in every way they can.
Which is why it's so important for us to realise the potential and the opportunity that the direct elected mayor has for us, for our communities, for our families, for our children's future, to really improve our standard of living and quality of life. Which is why I hope that we can start to make more positive headlines with the direct elected mayor, such as Limerick's opportunity to make history, Limerick's opportunity to win back the democratic rights of a nation, Limerick's opportunity to forge a new and exciting future that everyone can be a part of. These are the kind of headlines that we need, not dogs poo-pooing in Venezuela.
Do you know what? That is, if I can use this word, that is ignorance. That is blissful ignorance from people who are supposed to be in the know. Fionán, all I'll ask viewers out there, Irish people abroad as well, and people at home here in the Republic, is please start a conversation on this. There you have followed Billy Maguire. You have actually started a conversation about the real Republic and the real history that has been airbrushed. So please, folks, let all of us make a concerted effort not to allow any airbrushing of this marvellous opportunity for the people of the city and the county of Limerick, great people that they are, to elect in the future a directly elected mayor, and be it a man or a woman. But let's get behind this. This is democracy being returned to you and to me. I think we have a great man here. I really, really do, Fionán, and I wish you the very best of luck. But I know we have many more interviews to do in the future, both with the history aspect of Mongrel and all of that as well. So thank you indeed, so much indeed.
Thank
you. That's all of us from here in this beautiful setting of St. Paul's Heritage Centre in Glin in County Limerick. From all of us
the estuary.
And the estuary. Oh yeah, we'll take a swim maybe later. So, Gordon Mille Boggart, August Slán. Take care and stay safe. And please, please, one final message. Wash your hands, keep your distance, and let's get rid of this Delta once and for all. Thank you. No, that was lovely. Thank you indeed. I really enjoyed it. That was so important and so